The Fozzy Podcast. What's on his mind this time? Games. Movies.
This summer, one man, one decision.
Music. Sport. It could be anything at all.
Hello and welcome to a very special episode of the Fozzy Podcast with me, Liam Foster. Now, first of all, before we get into it, let me apologise for my very abrupt absence in the recent weeks. I've unfortunately had a few unfortunate circumstances what I've had to deal with, but I'm back now. I'm fully refreshed. I'm fully recovered, and I want to let you know what is about to go down. Now, like I've been saying in previous podcasts, I've always wanted to do an interview of some sorts, you know, have it be anything about sport, about games, which, you know, I've done in the past with Jason, my good friend Jason Carter, which hopefully we will be doing soon again, so don't worry about that. But this one's absolutely out of the ordinary. Now, I've always had a big fascination of what's called ASMR. Now, I won't delve much into it because that's what this is all about. I've managed to finally get an interview with a very, very special person who is very, very widely renowned, in my opinion. Well, it's obvious anyway. She's just hit 50,000 subscribers on her YouTube channel, which solely revolves about ASMR. And if anybody knows what ASMR is, they'll know exactly what she's about to talk about. But for the people who are complete neutrals to the subject, and in a way, I'm still a complete neutral. I've listened to her answers, which she's provided me, because unfortunately we couldn't do it as a live interview because of the time zone difference. She lives all the way in the United States. I live obviously in England, so she'd either be in bed and I'd be awake, vice versa. So that was a massive stumbling block. However, she has been kind enough to record her answers. I basically sent her about 10 or 11 questions in an email. She's been kind enough to respond and record her answers to my questions via an MP3 file. And what I've basically done is mixed me asking the questions to her actually answering them, you know, the clip she sent me. So once again, Springbok, if you're listening, you know, which I'm sure she probably will do once I actually mix this down, I want to thank you so much for doing this. You know, you don't understand how much I appreciate it, because honestly, I've sent so many emails out to like the people who I wanted potentially to interview, but they never got back to me. So Springbok was the only person who got back to me. And I will be giving you the details to her amazing YouTube channel at the end of this interview, so make sure you stick around for that. So without further ado, let us get into it. Now, as you know, with every person what comes onto my show, the Fozzy Podcast, I always ask them 5 quick-fire questions to basically, it's like sort of like an icebreaker to let my audience and let, you know, anybody else who's listening just to learn a bit more about them in, you know, like in 5 quick short questions. You know, this is your life or anything like that. It's just me. I've sent her 5 quick fire questions and she's answered them for me. So let's get that out the way first, and without further ado, let's begin the interview.
What is your full name? My name is Nicole, and I sometimes go by Nikki or by Spring. And I am Springbok ASMR on YouTube. How old are you? I am loath to admit that I just turned 29, and that is quite scary for me. So, where do you reside? I will say that I was born and raised in Seattle, in the Pacific Northwest region of the United States, and I have a whole lot of Seattle hometown pride. I really, really love Seattle. So, what is your favorite food? This is a very difficult question, and I will say that there are so many foods I love, but I really have an affinity for breakfast foods. So I love pancakes, waffles, French toast, all of that kind of thing, donuts, coffee. So love breakfast, big sucker for breakfast. How would you describe your perfect day? If I could really orchestrate the perfect day from dawn till dusk, I guess I would get up, go get some amazing coffee somewhere, maybe go horseback riding for a few hours, maybe then go go-karting for a while, and come home and either read or just play video games all night. That sounds like a pretty good day to me.
Right, so let's now get to the nitty-gritty. Let's now get to the important questions. I mean, they were important, but, you know, I find it quite awesome that she's 29. That is absolutely incredible. Honestly, when I was listening back, because she sent me it this morning, all the voice files, and all her answers, and I couldn't believe it when I heard that. I was absolutely gobsmacked. Honestly, like I said, at the end of this podcast, I will be giving you all the details to her YouTube channel, and just watch your videos, and you'll be probably in the same opinion as me. She does not look 29. She looks at least 20, 21. It is incredible how good she looks, but you know, I don't know what it is. But firstly, let's get into the most important questions. Now, like I said, I asked her about 10 or 11 questions altogether. So I will ask the questions, and I will let Springbok take the floor and let you know what ASMR is all about. So firstly, for the people who don't know exactly what ASMR is all about and what it is, how would you describe it to a complete neutral?
Well, ASMR is an initialism for Autonomous Sensory Meridian Response, and I find that to be a little problematic. I don't think we've worked out the best terminology yet, but what it refers to is a sensation we colloquially call tingles, a feeling of a tingling that usually starts at the back of the head and then works its way down your spine. There are people who experience this, and there are people who do not experience it and may never experience it. However, they still will turn to the ASMR community for things like relaxation, aid in sleeping or falling asleep at night, relief of anxiety, or I guess anything that can be assuaged by having your inner monologue sort of overwritten by someone else, by either the nice sounds or a soft voice, and then those will override a person's worries and anxieties that can really, really, really mount, especially sometimes when people are trying to work, and I think even more commonly when people are trying to sleep. So
what is it then what attracted you the most to begin creating your own ASMR videos?
I will say that I began creating videos on a whim. It was something I had thought about for quite some time, simply because I enjoy ASMR so much. And I really wanted to feel like I could give someone comfort the way comfort had been given to me. But I had many reservations about that, and like I said, very low expectations. It was really just a way of channeling my positivity, channeling my hopes, and channeling my love, and putting it back out there into the world. So,
what are your earliest memories of experiencing ASMR?
Like many people, my earliest memories of the ASMR experience trace back to elementary school, and I had experienced it now and again, but the first time I really remember sort of marking the sensation mentally was when I had a substitute teacher in the 6th grade, and she was teaching us how to make those sort of tissue paper hot air balloons where you just have a heating element and then like a little flame, and then they rise and they fly. And it was something about just how calm and methodical she was describing what we would need to do, probably coupled with the sounds of the tissue paper sort of crinkling softly, and was all very reassuring. So.
Now, as I stated previously, you've just hit an astounding 50,000 subscribers, and it's ever growing every day, which is just incredible on your YouTube channel. But did you ever think that you would become such a popular figure within the ASMR community?
The short answer is no. No, not at all. Not even a little. And that's largely because there's already so many wonderful content creators, or we call them ASMR artists. But my other large concern was that my hands can be quite shaky. I have a resting tremor that is innocuous. It's just superficial, but my hands do shake some days more than others. And I was worried that, just like it does in real life, it could make me look a bit nervous and unsteady. And I think to feel relaxed, you really need to have faith that the content creator feels relaxed and feels good and confident. So I was quite worried about that for some time. And people have been nothing but supportive about it. And actually a lot of people have said to me that they experienced the same thing. And so it's actually kind of nice to feel that solidarity, which is great. It's been great. And I largely, though, credit the I guess the success that I've had. I credit the opportune moment that, you know, I come along at a time when a lot of other people have been very courageous and worked very hard to already carve out a path for new content creators. They've shaped the community that we have. That is a very large community. It's an effective community. It's a supportive community, and it's a non-competitive community for the most part. And so, as much as I am grateful for everything that's happened, it's been wonderful. I honestly and truly have to credit the community, the viewers, the other content creators, for even providing a space for me to come in and to have a really, really wonderful journey so far. So.
Now, the roleplay aspect when it comes to creating ASMR videos is a very common theme. But how do you get into character, so to speak, when creating your own roleplay videos?
I will admit, though it is embarrassing, that I did participate in a lot of improv theater when I was growing up. I participated in more traditional theater too. And as much as I love in traditional theater, when you are given a role and you have to really, really think inside and out, what is my character going to be? What drives them? What compels them? How do they move? How do they speak? With improv, you have a mere moment to become somebody else. And for whatever reason, that has been my experience in creating any characters that I have. For ASMR, I feel that I turn the camera on and intuitively I feel that I'm someone else when I need to be, if I'm doing a role play. And that person, however, is typically just a facet of who I already am. I do believe that you can very, very, very effectively be very dramatic and very theatrical. There are some ASMR artists who almost everything they do is taking on a new character and creating a new fleshed out character for every video, and it's astonishing and wonderful. But for me, thus far, I feel that most of the characters I sort of just pop into someone, inhabiting someone else's, this character's space for a little while. And each character is really just meant to be a different reflection of a different part of me. And even when I'm not creating characters, I think that you'll notice marked differences between the days when I'm talking about things that are very light, and those days when I'm talking about something either very serious or very heady or more academic, my tone shifts just like anybody else's does. And so sometimes I'm quite goofy and silly, and sometimes I'm a little bit more serious, and that is just a reflection of changing with my content and changing tone where it feels appropriate. So, but I look forward to creating even more fleshed out, unique characters as I go along. So,
now, before you actually began creating your own videos, were you inspired from any other ASMR YouTube artists?
absolutely. I am still inspired by other YouTube artists constantly, and I've even admitted that while I used to watch ASMR videos for tingles, now sometimes I watch and I'm just so aware of how magnificent they are at doing what they do that it almost becomes like, like watching somebody do something you do very masterfully and being fascinated by it. So there's a little bit more, I think, cerebral attention now that gets paid when I watch other ASMR artists, and I do think it detracts a little bit from my relaxation and from the tingles I experience, but at the same time it's incredible, and I'm constantly, yes, I was always inspired by them, but now more than ever I love to watch other videos and see what other people are doing, and it's so exciting to me. So yes, I have been, I am, and I always will be inspired by all of the others, and it's great.
Now, as you know, ASMR is fast becoming a worldwide sensation, and its popularity is rapidly growing internationally. But what do you think the future holds for ASMR as a whole, especially in the social media aspect of things?
I consider myself somewhat of a Luddite when it comes to social media. I don't use it in my personal life, at least not a lot of the big social media platforms that people use, like Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, those kinds of things. I do obviously use YouTube, which in and of itself is a social network, and I have been on Reddit for many, many years, and Reddit could be considered more social information than anything. But I think there is a big role for it, and I think a lot of other ASMR artists use it quite effectively and frequently. I mostly, though, see and hope that the future of ASMR is driven by the social media tendency toward mobility. And I think mobility is the key here, that mobile devices and the feeling of entitlement to have access to all of your information, to all of your media wherever you go, can only be a positive for ASMR. There are so many times and places where ASMR and relaxation could be incredibly beneficial, on airplanes, waiting at the doctors, or being in the hospital, going through chemotherapy, things like that. And to be able to have it with you and experience it when you need it, I think could be a wonderful thing. Obviously not when people are driving or operating heavy machinery, as ASMR tends to induce sleepiness. But I would say that yes, I hope that the future, and I believe that the future of ASMR, of social media, will all just bolster the rise of mobility and lots of various applications for it. So
now, from watching a lot of your videos, it seems as though you have a really keen interest in a wide variety of things, including such things as video games, Formula 1, cooking, and honestly, loads of amazing stuff. But what new material can we expect from your future videos?
yes, I have interest in a lot of different and a lot of different things, just like everyone. And I feel that I have the most fun and that I am my most authentic self when I am talking about the things that naturally interest me. And that's just like anyone else, but I think it adds to the feeling of closeness I have with a lot of my viewers, because I think a lot of them are interested in the things I happen to be interested in and the ideas I happen to enjoy. And so, yes, in the past, there are themes, of course. Books and video games and Formula One are all things that will probably just keep coming up again and again. But in the future, I'm really excited. I'm actually going to be launching a full course on the English language, but really just language and communication in general. And so I'm hoping that will actually be a series that can be seen as a fully functional sort of online course. And if people, choose to watch it for relaxation alone, I think it will still be effective. But I think that a lot of people love and yearn to learn while they're listening to ASMR, and so I'm very excited about that, which will include a lot of literary theory, a lot of poetry, a lot of philosophy, and some history too. And there are so many other things that I'm so interested in that I haven't even really scratched the surface of yet. So I'm quite excited. It's really fun to be able to connect with people who enjoy and love the same things I do.
So then, for the people who are very interested in following your footsteps at creating their own ASMR videos and creating their own YouTube channel revolving around the subject, what would be your best advice for them to take on board?
My best advice for anyone wanting to create ASMR is to just have a great sense of self, to know that if you start making videos, immediately people will tell you exactly what you should be doing, exactly what you're doing right, exactly what you're doing wrong. They'll tell you what camera angles you ought to use. They'll tell you what microphones you ought to use, what subjects you ought to cover. And I will say that for me, I do listen and very much appreciate feedback and requests, and I take them on and I find ways to work them in. That feels really great and fun and exciting and challenging, because at the end of the day, the viewers are everything. But I also know that there are some things, there are some styles of video, and there are some topics and things that just don't feel natural to me. And I feel that if they don't feel natural to you, you won't feel the joy and love that you need to feel when you're making your videos, and that will come across. So just don't let anyone tell you how it should be done. I think that the greatest ASMR artists out there are not thinking in terms of, okay, I need to do this kind of video, and I need to do this style of video, and I need to do this video. I think they're thinking in terms of, what genuinely delights them, what relaxes them, what intrigues them, and they follow that. So I hope if you're interested in creating your own channel that you'll do the same thing.
And last but not least, let me just be the first one to thank you for taking your time out to answer my questions. Honestly, you've been absolutely amazing. And if you have any final thoughts you would like to add before we conclude, please be my guest.
Well, thank you for such great questions and for engaging this topic. And as far as final thoughts go, I would just say to anybody who may not have ever experienced ASMR and may be very new to that idea, that I will just, I think, give the caveat that, one channel, one person, one personality, and one style of video may not work for you. There are only certain triggers that actually release my tingles, and there are only certain kinds of videos that make me feel truly serene and relaxed. So if you watch one video, or if you watch a number of videos from just one creator, and you find that it's not quite working for you, keep an open mind, because there are just, hundreds and hundreds of phenomenal content creators out there. And like I said, there's no right or wrong way to create ASMR, but I think that there's so many different ways in which ASMR can reach you and which can help you, whether you actually feel tingles or whether you really, really, really are seeking something to help you through anxiety, panic, depression. People use it to help with addiction. People use it to help kind of curb PTSD. And that all sounds very, very lofty. But I believe that it's such a wonderful thing because, as I've said before, ASMR is a comfort without a cost. You don't have to pay any money. It's not going to hurt your body later on. You're not going to have a hangover from ASMR. You're not going to get an addiction. You're not going to feel sick after taking in too much of it. And I think that there is nothing for guilt or for shame in the ASMR world. It's just something that is available to all of us, and it's rare. I think it's very rare, so I invite you to check it out. And thank you so much for listening and for having me around to answer these questions.
So there we are then, the interview with the amazing Nicole Springbok ASMR. You know, once again, I know she's probably going to listen to this. I want to thank you so much for taking your time out and doing this for me. You have no idea how much I appreciate it. And thank you for listening to the Fozzy podcast as well. This very special episode of the Fozzy podcast. Maybe in a few weeks' time, I will be coming to you with a normal episode with maybe a few Jason Carter and a few others maybe, because we are planning on some very, very exciting stuff, including a media production and also creating our own YouTube channel. Not an ASMR. I don't think I have the voice to cut it out, to be honest. But I am going to share with you the details to that very, very soon, so make sure you stick around for that. I will be sharing all the details on Twitter and, you know, all things like that. But I did promise you that I would be giving you the details to Springbok ASMR's fantastic YouTube channel, and that's basically what it's called, Springbok ASMR. It's Springbok and then ASMR. Check her out, honestly, she's absolutely amazing, and she deserves plenty more subscribers, honestly. And hopefully I will be there when she reaches 100,000 subscribers, so she's halfway there already. So thank you for listening to this very special episode of the Fozzy podcast. Once again, let me thank you, share my thanks to Nicole for doing this for me. Honestly, she's absolutely amazing. And thank you to you for listening as well. So I've been Liam Foster. This has been a very special episode of the Fozzy podcast, and catch you next time.